New metric, it's flawless. Let's talk about it. It's called swing speed. Jack, Aram, Just Baseball show for Tuesday, May 14th. We also want to talk about an interesting note that I heard Mark DeRosa say on MLB Network regarding the San Diego Padres rotation. The Minnesota Twins are on a heater right now, and I was being Scrooge, and I think I'm done being Scrooge, and I'll admit why I'm done being Scrooge. Jung Hoo Lee has a separated shoulder. Suck to watch, and we'll kind of get into what that means for the Giants. And then I want to lead Aram through a guessing game. It is all brought to you by BetMGM. Nice haircut.
Thank you. Back-to-back episodes. We're getting the haircut some airtime here.
Did Peter acknowledge the haircut off the top?
Oh yeah.
How long did that go?
Well, I had to give the whole story about why I had to get two haircuts. So that became
okay. All right. I'm just gonna go listen to the Just Baseball show.
Yeah. You have to go listen to the Just Baseball show to check that out. But
so
thank you.
We'll save the time. Yeah, it looks good, man.
I hate it.
Swing speed. You hate it? Swing speed. You hate it. Why?
So a swing speed, I just know that I'm gonna grow to hate it.
Yeah.
Because I want fans to have as many tools as they can get. I think it's fun and cool and awesome. The problem is we start to use some numbers and things that, I get it because it's all you have available, and not everybody's going to be able to like sit down and get open side video and break down swing mechanics and things like that, or, compare it and pull all the data, and, you have what's at your disposal. But I'm already seeing some like gross oversimplifications based on swing speed and some discussions that are had on Twitter already that like just don't like, that wouldn't be conversations if it weren't for this bat speed thing.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I think it's very fun, and it is a intriguing tool to help provide more context as to how a lot of these hitters do what they do. But it also is not a tool to disqualify hitters who don't do things the same way that some of the other hitters do things. Corey Seager's a prime example because he's kind of hiding in plain sight there, kind of in the middle, because he's not really proficient at anything. We'll get into those specifics there. I think it's a great tool. I think it's really fun. Please do not use it to definitively discount or promote a player. It's one of the many factors. Bat speed's great, but bat speed it correlates directly to exit velocities, and it's not like you're going to have some totally new information. All of the guys, or the majority of the guys that are in the top in bat speed, are going to be the top in exit velocity. So this isn't some like total new revelation info we never had. If you had a Venn diagram, it would almost completely overlap of the bat speed guys and the EVs guys. So that's the one side of it as well. And then I think also we'll get to the specifics of it, but I guess my only like Scrooge, just negative Nancy thing is, do not definitively assess players based on, we talk about the bubbles. Like this is kind of the same thing. Like screenshots of player Savant pages has made me want to rip my hair out over the last year plus. Yes, there's going to be a correlation of players with a lot of red being good players, but that doesn't definitively make or break a player. And I think that's why we've been getting pitched on Lars Nootbaar for the last 3 years. But I just want people to use it as one of the factors and not definitively assess a player because it's a fun, shiny new toy.
Yeah. So it is a new bubble. I just went to Giancarlo Stanton's kind of player page, his bio page on Baseball Savant, and it already is a bubble. He is in the 100th percentile in bat speed. So it adds more red to his Savant page. And to give you the 411 on this new element, it is an awesome new element. The folks at Baseball Savant, Mike Petriello, again, like I read everything he writes. I love
everything. This has to be so hard to build, by the way.
This has to be impossible to build.
Incredible stuff.
Phenomenal stuff. But this is a new metric on Baseball Savant. You can look it up, swing speed, and there are a whole bunch of different things when it comes to bat tracking that you can find. Blasts, hard swing speed resulting in solid contact. Swords, slow swing speed, not completed swing on a pitch in the strike zone. There are a bunch of things that come off the bat tracking. And now Baseball Savant, the folks at MLB, have done a good enough job making it translate to common English for us. And we're so thankful for that. And this is going to be a great tool when you use it appropriately, which is what you're saying here. The initial XY scatter plot that we see is number of squared up swings and average bat speed. And there are outliers. The outliers when it comes to squared up swings, slowest bat speed in baseball belongs to, you guessed it, Luis Arraez. Quickest bat speed in baseball, you guessed it, Giancarlo Stanton. So you've got Stanton and Cruz as the two fastest, hardest swingers in Major League Baseball. And the two slowest swinging players in Major League Baseball are Luis Arraez and Steven Kwan. It makes a ton of sense. I don't think we're breaking anything new in that. It's just another way to quantify that. The big difference is on the scatter plot. Just because Luis Arraez is a slow swinger does not make him a bad player. And just because Giancarlo Stanton is a fast swinger does not make him a good player. Now, look for the outliers here. Top right of that scatter plot, number of squared up swings and average bat speed, Juan Soto is the outlier in that department. Yordan Alvarez, also an outlier in that department. And you've got some guys that are struggling in the lower left of that scatter plot. So I think that can be used, and you can obviously toggle all your factors and everything like that. I think bat speed can be used to your advantage when you know exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, but again, it's kind of funny. Like if you sort a lot of the highest EV guys, like it's going to be a larger pool, maybe pretty much the same thing, just maybe a little bit mixed and matched, slightly different.
Yeah.
But there's context too that I think is important. And you had mentioned it before we started recording on the call up, and it was exactly what I was going to get into in regards to Stanton. Because people see the fast swing rate, which is the percentage of your swings that are over 75 miles per hour. And Stanton's 98%. The next highest is 74% in Kyle Schwarber and 74% in O'Neal Cruz. People I've seen on Twitter, maybe not totally understanding the, like, I guess the nuance to that aspect, kind of use it as an example to a couple fantasy folks I saw out there. They're like, it said like, this is what makes Giancarlo Stanton even more frustrating. That he swings the bat so much faster than everybody else and so much frequently faster than everybody else. And he's, not as productive as, well, first of all, he's going to finish with like potentially 500 home runs, right around that range.
Yeah. And
he won an MVP and had a really good career. The nuance to it is that Giancarlo Stanton has one swing.
One.
And that's why he is such a frustrating player at times, because he's going to get one swing off. It's long and it's armsy and it's you don't teach it to anybody, and you're never going to see anybody swing the bat like Giancarlo Stanton ever again. No, he's a one of one guy, a one of one player. And it works for him because he's so freaking quick and strong. And as he's slowed down a little bit, we've seen how much it can impact his ability to consistently hit. But the reason why his fast swing rate's so high compared to everybody else is he doesn't have that adjustability. There's no ass out single, right? There's no, I'm slightly fooled, but I take a B swing and shoot it the other way. It is, I swing as hard as I can with my gigantic jacked body and produce major, major, major impact if I connect, or a breeze for everybody if I miss. And I think O'Neal Cruz is cut from that same cloth. I think Christopher Morel is cut from that same cloth. And these are all guys that have the highest, fastest swing rate or fast swing rate. And Stanton's is by far the most because he quite literally has one swing. So those are some of the nuance I think that doesn't really get baked in too much, which like guys that produce a lot of B swings and 2-strike counts and shoot it the other way for a hit, like that's not going to count towards their fast swing rate, but it's actually going to dock their average bat speed a little bit too, but it's valuable, right? Like it would be nice if Stanton could do that more, if Kyle Schwarber could do that more, if O'Neal Cruz could do that more. They don't have that adjustability. Ronald Acuna, when he's clicking, does, and that's why he's the best of the best when he's clicking. And I think that's same with Juan Soto, right? So I think that's the interesting aspect of it as well. You got a Matt Chapman and a Joe Adele hanging out in the top 11 too.
Yeah,
they swing hard. They kind of swing one way.
Mm-hmm. Bingo. There are a couple other numbers that I find interesting in this bat tracking element. Swords is an interesting one, and I love swords from a pitcher perspective, but like I really didn't think we would see the day where we can quantify a sword. But the way that we are quantifying a sword now, there is a definition in MLB.com's glossary at this point. And as it loads, obviously, it was kind of the thing populated by Pitching Ninja, where it's a very uncompetitive swing. It is a swinging strike where the swing is incomplete and the swing speed is in the lowest 10% of all swings tracked in Major League Baseball. So that is the way that we quantify swords. And there are guys with 0 swords in Major League Baseball to this point.
Stanton.
And that Stanton has 0 swords. Stanton has 0. Yordan Alvarez has 0. But also, Connor Joe has 0. Johan Rojas has 0. Charlie Blackmon has 0. Like, that's the thing, man. You can kind of mix and match, and you can find guys that either have one swing or like have one swing that isn't Stanton's, and it's a B swing. The malleability of hitting is the art form.
Yep.
And I just don't want people to escape hitting as an art form because they have this information here and they're misinterpreting it. Again, this is a phenomenal tool. Just be careful with how you interpret the information, because just because Giancarlo swings the bat hard does not mean that he's a good hitter right now. He's good at what he wants to do.
And I think it also is a great instance of, I think, arguably the most impressive outlier in this whole thing is Juan Soto. Because if you look at the scatter plot, and the scatter plot makes it really fun with their little faces on it.
Yes, I love it.
Soto is in his own world because he is, while he's not as far over in terms of speed, like swing speed, he's still in the top 10, but he's so high up there in terms of the squared up per swing as well, that I mean, like, he is, I think when you look at squared up per swing, he's only below Arias, if I'm not mistaken. And then he's in the top 10 in swing speed. So, I mean, that I think really hits home as to how absurd he is and how good he is. Because I think people love to look at the ends of the spectrum, the Arias and then the Stanton. That's why I've just seen so much discussion about those two and the two different ways that you can achieve, production and having them be on totally opposite ends of the spectrum. But it's often the guys that are, like I mentioned with the Seagers, but even a little bit further along that, maybe Soto is an extreme example, but like the William Contrerases of the world that you're going to overlook because he's not on the massive ends of either spectrum, but he's in the top 20% of swing speed, and he's in the top 10% of squared up swings or squared up batted balls per swing.
Yeah. And
that is more valuable than being an outlier in swing speed and towards the bottom in contact rates and things like that. So that's the fun, like, sliding scale thing. Yes. And it's similar to what we talk about all the time. When I talk about when I'm assessing prospects, we talk about 90th percentile exit velocity. We talk about contact rates. Those are basically the same things that we're talking about here, just like, a little bit more result based. And that's the fun part about it. And I've always talked about with you, it's always a juggle, right? You want the super high 90th percentile, but then a lot of those guys end up having lower contact rates. I'll take a guy that is, in the 70th percentile in exit velocity, and then, still is above average contact wise than a guy that's off the charts exit velocity wise and well below average in the contact side of things. So I also encourage people to kind of look in the middle and like see players that are on the upper echelon of the middle on both aspects. And those are the more complete hitters that you're going to see. You don't need to be off the charts in any specific area. And then the last thing that I think is important context to this that isn't going to be baked into here, swing decisions, which you can go check on the Savant page with chase rate and things like that.
Yeah.
And swing path. And path is huge here. Because like a guy like Mookie Betts makes a ton of contact, and that's why he's one of the top guys in squared up per swing. But his EVs have never been great. He elevates with the best of them. And that's where we talk about Isaac Paredes, guys that outslug their EVs. Like, they're not going to show up a ton here. I think Paredes was on the lower end of the spectrum in some of these things. Yeah. So there's a lot of nuance to it. Swing path, which you can't get path, but you can see ground ball rates and things like that for guys that you want to see slug. It's a thing to dive into as well. A guy like Juan Soto is going to get away with higher ground ball rates because he makes a ton of contact and he hits the living crap out of the ball. But if Mookie Betts had higher ground ball rates, it wouldn't be nearly as productive. So it also kind of allows you to figure out who can get away with more. A guy with like Soto that's in his own area up there can get away with more. A guy like Stanton that's in his own area down there in terms of the swing speed can get away with more whiff. And that's the fun balancing act of all of this, right? It is really like this juggle and this like scale that you're trying to balance on both sides.
For sure. And I think at the end of the day, like there are certain points on the axis. There are certain, you know, like I guess numerical points on the y-axis that you can, have work to your benefit when you are looking at swing speed. And I think Peyton, our video savant, did a great thing with it. He texted this morning in our big Just Baseball group. He said, out of the guys in the top 20 in bat speed, who has the lowest K and whiff rates? That's the kind of thing that it's very useful for.
Yes.
And the answer is Juan Soto and Yordan Alvarez. Top 20 in bat speed. Of the top 20, they have the lowest K rates and the lowest whiff rates. That makes a ton of sense. And that's just another way to quantify how Juan Soto and Yordan Alvarez are really good and really unique in the game that has the best hitters on the planet. Like, of the top 100 hitters, these guys swing the hardest and are most productive with those hard swings. So there are points on the X and Y axis that can make this a very, very useful tool.
Sure.
Use it in the right way, please.
Yeah. Please don't don't use it to say like Giancarlo Stanton's been a disappointment because he's swings so much harder than everybody else, or like things like that. Like you could say whatever you want. It's fun. Like it's baseball talk at the end of the day, but it becomes that's just like a pet peeve of mine when we like oversimplify some of these guys, just based on some color coded things.
I can't wait to start sending bubble screenshots again.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that said, it is really cool. And as you mentioned, it is a unique way to be able to see where certain hitters really separate themselves in some aspects, but it also shows you that there's so many pieces to this puzzle for hitters to be good. And even though bat speed is huge and a massive part of everything, it still isn't everything because there's a lot of hitters that are great in that department and are still trying to find their footing consistency wise at the big league level, or have been struggling over the last couple of years.
Yeah, go play around with it. Again, it is the new tool on Baseball Savant, and you will see, like, hey, search your favorite player on that platform, and you're going to see bat speed in their bubble screenshot now, and that will be a useful tool. If you screenshot the bubbles and say, this is why this guy's a good player, that's not a useful tool. But again, bat speed, very useful tool that is now available on Baseball Savant. I want to jump to the Padres here because the San Diego Padres just did something that is kind of hard for me to wrap my brain around. And Mark DeRosa mentioned it on MLB Central on Monday morning. First time since 1893 that a starting rotation has had 4 straight starts of 5 or more innings and 2 or fewer hits allowed. Wow. It was Dylan Cease, Matt Waldron, Michael King, Yu Darvish. And I want to kind of go one by one in that, but I just thought that was crazy. Like, we haven't seen a run of 4 games where starting pitching was that good. But you know what? Like, shout out the Padres, man. They've got guys that have stuff out the ass. And we know what Cease can do. We know what Darvish can do. Michael King started really slowly, but he just put together his best start of the year. And Waldron, man, like, you hear the name Matt Waldron and you say, oh, knuckleball. He only throws it like 35% of the time. And it's not like he's throwing a heater at 85 miles an hour. He's north of 90 with it. Like, when I saw him in high A, he was 94, 95 with it. And I know that's ticked down a little bit, but man, like, Padres have something good cooking here. And I thought the past, late week into the weekend was perfect example of what they have good cooking.
And without Musgrove too. And I know he wasn't great when he was on the field, but dealing with the elbow inflammation. So the fact that they're doing that without him is pretty crazy. Also, in the era where starting pitching is dead, right? You never get quality starts anymore. It's all about the bullpen or whatever. Looks like we're still seeing stretches where we haven't seen that since the game was played with like a sock, basically. So it's cool to see that. And I've talked about it. Like, I want the Padres to be good so badly, not for any particular reason other than just the money that they've spent to try to invest in being good. The fans continuing to show up. I like several of the players on the team, and it would be really cool given just the emotional side of losing your owner who was so invested into winning. Like, I would just love to see this team perform. And on the backs of the pitching, it's been really keeping them afloat, and the bullpen looks really good. We talked about that going into the year, that we thought this bullpen could be great, and it has been really solid so far. Jeremiah Estrada, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
He was putting up video game numbers in AAA, and since he's come up, 7 scoreless so far at the big league level. Uh, Once these bats hopefully get going a little bit more, I mean, adding Arias was huge. This team can be really tough, but at what point do we start to like sound the alarms on a Xander Bogaerts, Jack? Like that's where I keep looking with this team. Like it's been really fun to watch Cease and King and Darvish, and then even like Randy Vasquez, you mentioned
Yeah.
Waldron. You hope you get the other arms back. The pitching's great, and I think it's going to continue to be good.
Yeah.
But they're not going anywhere if Xander Bogaerts is, you know, has an OPS of 500. Ha-Seong Kim, I think, is going to get going. It's a contract year, and he's had some nice stretches overall.
Yeah.
But they need a lot more from Xander Bogaerts if they're going to have a chance. And Machado, he's not exempt to this either. He's coming off of a more specific injury, but I mean, if those two guys aren't hitting, I mean, how are they gonna succeed? And it's a shame because Cronenworth's been great. He seems like he's turned it around. Profar has been awesome. Merrill's been a great addition. Camposano's swinging it. Like all the complimentary guys are doing their thing. Arias, you add to the fold. And it's like Tatis is heating up, but I mean, Tatis wasn't, hot out of the gate. And then Machado and Bogaerts are killing you right now. And even Kim, like who would have expected that?
I was not expecting it at all. I think Bogarts is the one that I'm most disappointed with. How can you not be? Because he's the big money guy. He's a $200 million, $290 million man that's OPSing 565 at this point in his first 41 games. I think we're close to sounding the alarms there, but the good news is this GM is going to sound the alarms before anyone else.
Yeah.
And there's a reason they moved for Luis Ariz 2 weeks ago when Bogarts was off to a slow month. So we are a bit more patient, I think, than AJ Preller is. And he's going to put the best version of the field or the best version of the lineup on the field around Xander Bogaerts if he is struggling. And he is financially tied to him playing every day.
Oh, yeah.
Has to for the next decade. He's financially tied to him playing every day. Xander is too good of a player to be this bad for the entire year. So we know that it's going to get right at some point. Question is it in late June? Is it after the All-Star break? He's not going to have a 560 OPS on the season, but could he end this year with a 680 OPS? That's a massive disappointment.
Oh, yeah.
They will figure out a way to hide him in the lineup if that is the case. And the latest that fully hiding him in the lineup comes, I think, is the All-Star break. Because again, we saw AJ Preller in the first couple days of the month of May make a trade for the guy that has won back-to-back batting titles.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just wild to me. It's like, Bogarts had some lulls last year, and then I know he's been dealing with the wrist thing on and off, but then went nuts at the end of last year. I mean, over his last 60 games, guy hit 318, 358, 496. And so it's like, okay, that's Xander Bogaerts. And then right back to really struggling. And then this has been as bad as I think we've ever seen him in the big leagues.
Yeah.
And it's 41 games now that we've got under our belt. So it's pretty wild.
It is wild. Can I ask you a Darvish question?
Yeah.
When do you think he throws until?
Like career-wise?
Yeah, how many more miles does he have in the tank?
I think a lot.
I think a lot.
I think he has a little ailments, but the way he always comes back and looks totally fine. Like I think it's almost they're being more proactive. I think he's got 2-3 more years in him.
Oh, I think more.
I mean, he's under contract till 2028. So
he just signed another 6-year deal, man.
That's true. So he's gonna pitch what till he's 41, 42?
He turns 38 years old in August. He's the youngest 37-year-old I've ever seen. I think this guy and Verlander are going to push each other until they.
So he's
get
got 5. He's pitching at least. I think he's just going to finish this contract down. And that's it. So 4 more years.
I think he signs another deal.
Another one. So you think he's at the end of this deal, dude? He'll be 41.
I think he throws in his age 45 season. How
I hope
can you
you're right.
watch?
That'd be electric.
But how can you watch this guy and think he doesn't? Like,
I mean, he's not slowing
Verlander,
down. He's not slowing down at all.
if Verlander is tracking to throw in his age 45 season and he said he wants to play until he's 45 years old, how can you not look at Darvish and say the same exact thing?
Darvish averaged 93.5 miles per hour on his fastball in 2012, 2013, 2014. This year at age 37. So he was 25, 26, 27 then. 37 now. He's averaging 94.4 miles per hour on his fastball. So, I mean, in terms of velocity, he's not slowing down. In terms of workload, last year he was banged up, so we only got 136 innings, but 194, 166 before that. I mean, that's some of his largest workloads we'd seen since he first came into the league. I mean, it would be awesome if he signed another $100 million deal.
Oh my God. I don't
That
know
one
where
won't happen,
contracts are going to
but
be. I have no idea how good he's going to be at that point. But man, I
no,
think that this guy is going to stick around after this contract is up. He's for sure going to play through the end of this contract.
I
If
mean, it's
he,
amazing to come over at age 25 and still potentially finish out his career throwing well over 2,000 innings is amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. He's going to hit 2,000 strikeouts this year too.
yep,
He's at 1,966 as we record this. He hit 2K strikeouts as well. A lot of really impressive milestones that I think he's going to blow past.
he's going to be one of the best pitchers of this generation that doesn't win a Cy Young, and he
Mm-hmm.
won't be a Hall of Famer. But man, like he's going to be in the Hall of Very Good when we're done with this. And I do think that he has 7 more years of major league pitching in him. And I like, again, it's crazy with a take, and you have no idea how much that guy's going to love the game when he's 42, 43 years old. But I mean, Verlander wants to play forever. Greinke still wants to play forever. He's still sitting in free agency. He hasn't retired yet. I mean, there are some pitchers that want to play forever. And if Darvish wants to play forever, he's got the marriage of want and ability to play until he's 45 years old.
Especially if he's in the NL West. I mean, I guess you play everybody equally now, but I'll say as long as he gets to keep facing the Dodgers, I think he's going to keep turning out good starts. He's
Okay,
crazy
so
against them.
that's the other wrinkle with this stretch of 4 games. Again, 5 or more innings, 2 or fewer hits in 4 straight starts. It was Cease, it was Waldron, then it was King, then it was Darvish. One, Cease came at Wrigley against the Cubs, and then it was a 3-game weekend set at home against the Dodgers. The Cubs and the Dodgers is who they did this against.
Yeah,
That's
makes it that much
crazy.
more impressive. That much more impressive.
So, I mean, King, do you feel like King is back after that start? Did you watch any of it on Saturday?
Dude, I thought we talked about it in the weekend like recap.
Yeah,
That was the pitcher duel of the year so far.
that was awesome.
Absolutely.
Absolutely amazing. Minnesota, let's jump over to the Twins, unless you still have something on the Padres or no.
Nope, that's all.
Easy. The Minnesota Twins, this is from Do Young Park, who is their beat guy at MLB.com. The Minnesota Twins have won 6 straight series for the first time since 2010. Appreciate him digging that up. Minnesota, I've talked about the lack of talent from some of those teams in these series that they have seen. Like they swept the Angels in LA. During their 12-game winning streak, 7 of those wins came against the White Sox, and then they played the Red Sox, and that depleted offense. At the end of the day, man, 6 straight series wins is 6 straight series wins, and a 12-game winning streak is a 12-game winning streak. And we talked about the guys that have been performing very well for them, like mentioned Ryan Jeffers, mentioned Trevor Larnach. I want to shout out Edouard Julien because he made a play to end the Sunday game that he was not making at any point last year. And I want to point to outs above average and ultimate zone rating. This guy is night and day defensively at second base. And I know that DRS doesn't love him. So if you're looking at the Fangraphs page and you say, Jack, what do you mean? Like his DRS is still well in the negative. His outs above average has flipped from the negative to the positive. His UZR has flipped from the negative to the positive. And at the end of the day, man, this guy looks way more comfortable. And we were talking about Julien as a first baseman masquerading as a second baseman. And it's, Julien, Bush, and Arise that are all first basemen playing second base. Julien, to me, has separated himself from that conversation. And like he's doing this while he's been very not good offensively. I have confidence that he's going to heat up again very soon. But man, like I just think that level of buy-in is totally emblematic of a team that is better than maybe you were expecting them to be.
For sure. And I think, you mentioned the offense not being totally there for him on a macro scale, but he's had stretches where, I mean, especially this past series, where he's the difference maker offensively. So even though it settles at a 772 OPS right now, and sometimes when it's going bad, it's rough. I mean, when it's going right, he's winning you a ball game with his bat alone. And just to see the defense continue to get better, because I mean, I could go back all the way to the Cape and watching him play defense. It was bad.
It was
And
bad.
just seeing the progression at each stop and now at the highest level, just not look like a liability out there, I think says a lot. When you're an overly, I wouldn't say overly because the swing decisions are good, but when you're an incredibly patient hitter and passive, bordering on passive, you're gonna have there's some stretches where pitchers execute pitches and you just feel like you're almost starting the count 0-2 and you're fighting from behind a lot. But you don't want to change who you are as a hitter because it's worked for you for so long. And I think that's what we're seeing with Julian, like super, super selective. And he's just had some stretches here where some pitchers pitches, maybe a call here or there. And I think he felt like he was probably working from behind quite often. But you're still seeing him hit the crap out of the ball. You're still seeing that power be a part of his game to all fields. He's still walking a ton, of course. I think I agree with you. I think he's really going to start heating up. And if he does that, I mean, you look at the rest of this Twins lineup with the way the other guys are swinging it.
Yeah.
It's a fun team because they can pitch too. We talked about them after that series when we did the whip around, and I was like, I thought maybe the Blue Jays after that comeback in the second game could have taken the series and used that as momentum. But then Bailey Ober just comes out the next day and puts up
Oh my gosh.
zeros and strikes out 10. And that's what I think makes this Twins team potentially sustainably good is when the offense isn't there, which it's a talented offense, but when it's not there, you have a chance with almost any of your five starters being able to go out there and give you six shutty. And that's always going to give you a chance to win a game, even when the offense isn't performing.
Crazy. What is it? 7 innings for Joan Duran since he's come back.
Oh,
7 innings,
disgusting.
2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 8 Ks.
I mean, that's a difference maker.
That's it. You go from Bailey Ober 6 1/3, 1 hit. Like you mentioned, 10 Ks, no walks. And yeah, like Sands came on, he allowed quick run. Then Cody Funderburk comes out of the pen, gets you 5 outs, no hits. And then Duran comes in and shuts the door.
Yeah.
I mean, this team is like starting to peak at the right time. And I love Kansas City. I want to root for Cleveland bad, but like this division is very winnable. And I think the Twins are absolutely making their case.
I'm curious how aggressive they'll be too. Yeah, if we'll see them make some moves and things like that, potentially try to add to the ball club. With Miranda now performing the way he has, and again, they're doing this without Royce Lewis too,
Yeah.
and of course Buxton out. I'm very interested to see how Falvey approaches the deadline once we get there.
Can I ask you who you think the movable assets are in this Twins farm system? Because it does drop off a little bit. You're not moving Emmanuel Rodriguez. You're not moving Charlie Soto. Are you moving a guy like Raya or Festa? Probably not.
I'd be okay moving Raya for sure. I know for fans for a long time, but like, oh, he's you can't move him. He's immovable. Like he's not touchable. Blah blah blah. I mean, they still barely are stretching him out. He's throwing 3 innings an outing, and there's definitely some reason behind that. And I think you look at the arsenal, there's still plenty of like swingman reliever type of risk there. I think Gabriel Gonzalez could easily be flipped for them as well, who they were able to get, in that trade during the offseason with the Mariners. I think you could look at him. You could look at Raya. You could look at some of the other guys that I think they did a pretty good job of drafting the last couple of years, like a Luke Keschel, who's looked really good out of the gate.
Yep.
Corey Lewis has been a fun arm. Canarino, if he comes back and looks healthy, like they've got some pieces. I think even like an Austin Martin has as much value as he's had in a little bit of time coming up to the big leagues, holding his own, putting up decent numbers or really good numbers in AAA, I should say, before getting brought up in a short sample. And then how about Zebby Matthews? We were just talking about him on the call up.
Yep.
That guy's had as much of an ascension as anybody. Pitching prospect that has 39 strikeouts and 0 walks to start the year. I've never seen it before. I've absolutely never seen it. So yeah, they don't have the capital to go make like a franchise altering trade unless they want to move one of their key guys. They probably won't, but they could if they really wanted to. But I agree, if Jenkins, Lee, and Emmanuel Rodriguez are all untouchable, and you probably put Festa in that conversation too, unless it's a major piece with the way he's throwing.
Yeah.
I think in the right spot, you still entertain Soto because he's so far away. Raya, and then the other guys that we mentioned, they could still go get somebody impactful.
Yeah, 100%. The Giants. I want to pivot to the Giants here. Jung Hoo Lee dislocated his shoulder on Sunday. He was jumping for a ball at the wall. It was a gross video to watch. Like, I didn't like that I watched the video. He's having an MRI today. Haven't seen anything. We're recording at about 5 p.m. on Monday, which is, remember, 2 o'clock Pacific. So there will probably be news by the time that you're listening to this from the MRI, but dislocated shoulder is never good. And Bob Melvin was very pessimistic in his post-game media availability on Sunday.
Yeah, there's no way. I'd be shocked if it's anything. I mean, I hope, obviously, sincerely that I love Jung Hoo Lee, and it's a guy that just needs ABs to keep settling in at the big league level. And I love the way he goes after balls in the outfield. It sucks
Yes.
to see a guy just going balls to the wall, quite literally, and getting hurt that way. Just fluky. There's the way that he hit that wall at full speed, and the
Right.
way his body kind of stopped at impact, and then the upper body went over it. It just stinks because you love seeing guys play with that much effort, and he's made some unreal catches already this year.
For sure. So Lee is out likely for an extended period. You've got Soler on the shelf, Conforto on the shelf. I was gonna ask if you think a Lee extended absence would force Farhan Zaidi into making a decision to either trade prospects for somebody to kind of try and catapult this offense, or do you start selling off pieces? Do you start getting a return and maybe the rebuild? Frankly, I don't think you can do either in San
No.
Francisco's situation. This might be the most stuck team in baseball.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why I don't like them. That's why I've just continued to not like them. I think they are perpetually in purgatory, and I do think that things are going to get pretty ugly because with no Lee, Conforto was swinging it great for them.
Yeah.
Patrick Bailey's been banged up. Matt Chapman just doesn't look good. Great swing speed though, but
Good swing speed.
yeah, it does top 10 does not look good. Yaz has not been good overall. And then, they brought up Casey Schmidt now to play some shortstop because
Wilmer
I mean,
Flores is not playing well. Like the list goes
Ahmed
on.
being hurt, like, and that's a guy that like we care about Ahmed being hurt, but yes, Soler's out. But again, like you kind of knew that. Like Conforto, why was he not signed? Huge injury rap sheet. Soler, why were teams not committing to a long-term deal? Tons of injuries. Nick Ahmed, 34. That's the thing. And Blake Snell, I get it, but like again, you forked up money. And it was a good deal. I think it was a great value pickup for them.
Yeah.
But it was late in the game, and there was some risk to that. I won't fault them as much for that one. But you look at this team, and like they need all those guys to even have a chance.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's going to get ugly, but they're going to ride it out, and because you can't do anything yet. I think you're going to bring up Luis Matos. Hopefully he catches fire. I still think he's super talented.
Yeah.
You're going to give Elliot Ramos a chance. You're going to give Casey Schmidt a chance, and you hope those guys pick up the slack.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then and you're 15, 20 games under in a couple months, yeah, then we'll see them sell. We'll see what they can get. I think we'll definitely see them sell at that point. But in the meantime, they're going to bring up young guys. They might try to go make a low cost addition. I could see that, like a plug and play guy. But I don't know if I see them adding anything substantial.
I mean, who gives you anything that you're willing to move off of? Like Tyro Estrada will give you something if you're willing to move off of him. I have no idea if they are. Lamont Wade at this point, like I think he would get you a package, but are they willing
Yes.
to move off of Lamont Wade? We
I think
talked
if they're
about
stinking, yes.
we talked about their system not being good. So, they could look at the system and be like, oh, well, we need a first base prospect back. We need a left-handed hitting power prospect back because we don't really have that guy except for Bryce Eldridge. And he's so far off. We're talking about 4 or 5 years down the road.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to me that like they don't have that guy sitting in Sacramento or in Richmond to say, oh, you know what? If we move off of this position for the present, we can plan for the future. I don't know if there's a huge future plan right now.
I think it's an indictment on their development. And yeah, the fact that just no one's there is pretty crazy. And I mean, the fact that Marco Luciano just looks like he's just not gonna be able to hit enough and things like that. It's frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating. I gotta like this is exactly when you would need Marco Luciano to figure it out and plug in and be a guy for you and be the guy that a lot of people were expecting him to be. But I think at this point you have to reassess and say, hey, this guy's probably not going to hit enough. And that's a tough spot for them. I'm with you because when you look at the assets, you're not trading a Patrick Bailey. What's Matt Chapman going to get you? You only have a couple assets that you can really get a ton of a return for. So I think they're kind of like the Cardinals, where we're just not going to really see them go one way or another, aside from a couple of those expiring pieces that may be hitting free agency soon. Move those guys. But with the way that they're positioned, like, why trade a Lamont Wade when you know that you probably need him next year and you have a lot of money still invested in pieces for next year? And it's not going to be worth whatever return you get, most likely. So, yeah, they're kind of in a weird spot where I don't know if they can really move anyone that's going to get them a major return. And I think they're kind of stuck in purgatory. They got to hope some between the margins moves help them. Some young guys step up and maybe they can, attack free agency next year. But I don't think it makes sense to make any aggressive trades unless it's a very controllable piece and there's prospects that they want to move off of.
Giants, Cardinals. Who do you dislike less? Dislike less.
So manager wise, I feel about Ollie Marmol.
Yeah.
I think the Cardinals are seems like their heads, up there, a little bit more. But I would say I would much rather have the Cardinals situation. Organizationally, I would much rather have the Cardinals situation.
Yes. From
top to bottom, give me the Cards organization. But in terms of like front office and stuff, it's getting closer than I ever thought it would be. And I don't. I'm the low guy on the Giants decision makers.
Yeah, it's a weird one, man. It's weird. All right, want to wrap this show with a quick little guessing game. I'm going to throw you major league leaders and minor league leaders and just see if you know who I'm talking about. Okay. So I'm going to say, hey, Aram, with a homer on Sunday, who now has sole possession of the home run lead in Major League Baseball?
Kyle Tucker.
Yes. Out of nowhere, man.
Crazy.
Like, we want to talk about the Astros struggles, and I've made this point consistently. Like, hey, the Astros got off to this terrible start. It wasn't because of Tucker. It wasn't because of Altuve. Hell, like, it wasn't because of Jordan. Again, it was because of the pitching staff. Kyle Tucker has 13 homers. There are two guys with 12. You know who has 12? AL East, NL East. Don't think too hard about NL East.
Oh, I know Ozuna has 12.
Ozuna's got 12. The other guy in the AL East.
Soto?
No. Baltimore.
Gunnar?
Gunnar Henderson's a homer shy off the major league lead.
Dude might win the MVP, man.
I think so. Shohei Ohtani, this is not a guessing game thing. He's very close to taking home the MLB slash line triple crown. He is hitting 352. That's 1 point off of Kwan's 353, and Kwan won't qualify in a week or so, I think. Ohtani, second in batting average. He's a point off. He's third in OBP. Mookie's got a 441. William Contreras has a 429. Ohtani has a 423. And slug, Ohtani has a 30-point advantage. So he could lead Major League Baseball in batting average, on base, and slugging, which is just absurd.
That's crazy. And it's amazing. We talked about it going into the year. Like, would him pitching less or not pitching allow him to focus on his hitting on a different level? And could he just unlock this freakazoid ability that he didn't already have? He was already a freak. And I think we're seeing it. Like, now just focusing on hitting, he's become the most complete version of Shohei Ohtani, the hitter, as we've seen.
Yeah. Who's leading Major League Baseball in walks drawn?
Ooh. Leading major. I'm going to go Juan Soto.
No, Soto is tied for fourth with Bryce Harper, 28.
Give me a couple more guesses. Give me a division.
AL East.
AL East leading in walks. AL East leading in walks.
Not Soto.
It's not Judge.
It is Judge.
Okay, it is Judge.
Judge leads in walks, so he has kind of spelled the cold start with the stick by leading baseball with 31 walks drawn. Two guys have 30 walks drawn. NL West, AL West.
Christian Walker.
Nope.
That would have been a perfect name for it.
I
know. In the NL West, Ohtani's too aggressive.
Yep.
NL West, NL West, NL West.
It's a Dodger.
It's a Dodger. It's not Mookie.
It is Mookie.
It is
Betts.
Mookie. Damn, I just need to say who it's not.
Mookie Betts and Kyle Tucker has 30 walks as well. So
Tucker's crazy. I wouldn't get that in a million years.
No. So
my way of saying it's not this guy is my half guess, but wow.
Yeah, right. So 30 walks drawn, 13 homers. Kyle Tucker is one of the better
Swing
players.
decisions and elevating is why Mookie Betts is so good offensively, even though
Mhm.
the swing speed is not as great as some others. Contact, path, swing decisions.
Yeah. Who's leading Major League Baseball in strikeouts?
As a
Not
hitter,
hitter wise, pitchers.
oh, pitcher wise, Zach Wheeler,
Wheeler is second with 65.
Scooble,
No, Scooble is tied for sixth.
Sixto Sanchez.
Great guess. No. NL West.
I know it was Zach Gallen.
No.
No, he's not enough of a strikeout guy. He's been great though.
He's been awesome.
Oh, Glass now.
Glass now, 73, eight more than anybody else.
Man, if this, it's crazy that it's still a lot. All this guy has to do is throw 160 innings and the Cy Young says. No,
Yes.
nothing else matters. There's
I
no
think
other variables.
150. I think he could create the article storm of
Oh,
how can we give a Cy Young to a guy that threw 150 innings?
oh,
Because he's untouchable.
it's going to be the new precedent, and we're going to just keep inching our way downwards to like 140 innings.
And it's going to
Can't
suck.
wait. Yeah,
It's going to
yeah.
suck so
Please
bad.
throw 170 Glass now, please.
Yep.
Because you'll walk with it. You'll walk away with it. It'll be unanimous.
There are two qualified starters. Glasnow is fifth in batting average against. Opponents are hitting 169. There are two qualified starters with a batting average against under 150. You will get one, you won't get another.
Scooble isn't one of them.
No. Opponents are hitting 128 against this pitcher in the National League West.
128 against this pitcher in the National League West. 128 is crazy.
Crazy.
And it's not a Dodger. Then if it's not Glass now,
Nope.
yeah, Yamamoto is just not there yet. Giants.
Nope.
Webb hasn't been there. D-backs.
Nope.
Gallen gives up too much contact, even though he's phenomenal. Rockies, no.
No.
um,
Ryan Feltner, you got it.
yeah, that'd be the biggest surprise, I think, of all time. What team does that leave me with?
San Diego.
Padres. Oh, Padres. So it's Darvish?
No. Come on.
What?
It's Dylan.
Oh, it's Dylan Cease. Dude, I'll actually forget that he's on the Padres until I watch him pitch every single fifth
We
day.
just
Like,
talked about him 30 minutes
I
ago.
know. It's still weird to me. It still slips my mind sometimes.
Dylan Cease. Opponents are hitting a $128 against him. There's another guy. I really don't expect you to get him. In the AL East, opponents are hitting 144 against this guy.
Luis Heel.
Luis Heel.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was sick. I don't know. I forget Dylan Cease plays for the Padres, but that was a pretty sick pull.
No, that was a good one, man. Luis Heel has been an absolute freak. Okay, we'll wrap with full season minor league ball, not accounting for complex. I'm going to ask you about stat leaders. I can give you how do you want me to go about it? Do you want me to, if I gave you the parent club, that's too easy. If I gave you the parent division, is that fair?
Yeah, that's fine. It's already
Okay.
That's so freaking hard still.
I know. We talked about these guys. You should actually get this, no problem. There is a share of the minor league lead in homers with 13. Two guys. Who has 13 homers?
I'm pulling up divisions, by the way, just so I don't forget teams.
Yeah, good.
It's the weirdest thing with like divisions. I'll like blank randomly sometimes.
Fair.
I can walk through them, but I'll have to think about it. So you said
Yeah.
guys that lead in home runs.
There are two guys that share the minor league lead with 13 homers so far.
Joey Loperfido, even though he hasn't been there for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And the other one, what level?
Triple.
Triple. And he's a prospect.
Yeah, he just did it on Sunday, I think.
Did it on Sunday. Triple A prospect did it on Sunday, tied 13.
You've talked to him in the not so distant past
On here?
on the call up.
In the call up. Oh man. 13. Who else has 13? I should know that.
Not so distant past.
So like very recently, like earlier today. It's not Davison De Los Angeles because he's in double. He has
No,
12.
no, we talked to him
Oh,
very.
oh, geez. Yeah, that's bad. Kobe Mayo.
Go listen to our conversation with Kobe Mayo on the call up from last
Yeah,
week.
he's
It
the
was a
man.
phenomenal conversation.
Really cool stuff. That guy is confident and talented, but like, oh man, I love his mentality. It's
Yep.
funny. I got a couple tweets from like card collectors and like dynasty people that are like they said after I listened to Kobe's interview on the call up, I bought all the stock I could, which is really cool because it's like
That
I
is
felt the same way too. Like when you hear this guy talk with what you're already seeing on the field, like there's no way he doesn't put it together. And he's got 13 home runs, and you'd imagine that Baltimore, the second they need somebody, he's probably the next guy up.
even if they don't need somebody, if
Yeah.
they're just looking for an upgrade at one of the corner infield spots, he's the guy. There are two guys, by the way, Kobe Mayo with Baltimore, Joey Loperfido with Houston. Two guys in minor league baseball. We talked about this on yesterday's call up episode that have a batting average over 400. Who are they?
Mike Bovee,
Yep.
Brewers, Jacob Wilson, A's.
Yes. Jacob Wilson in double and triple, Midland and Vegas. Mike Bovee, Wisconsin and Biloxi, high A and double A. He was a first round pick last year by Milwaukee. Jacob Wilson, a top 10 overall pick last year by Oakland. The RBI leader in minor league baseball
Oh
has
God.
39 driven in. He is in low A for an AL West team.
Low A for an AL. Lazaro Montes.
Lazaro Montes is your
Woo!
minor league leader with
I was looking at your
39
face. You
RBIs.
played poker really well there. If you cracked a little bit of a smile, I would have said Montes in a millisecond. But you kept your face straight there, and it's good poker.
30 games for the Mariners DH prospect. 30 games. Lazaro Montes is slashing 308, 417, 533 with 39 driven in 30 games.
That's a testament to Montes because he's been awesome power and bat to ball wise, but also a testament to the most unreal, like talented minor league team from prospect and trait perspective. I think in baseball right now, in the Modesto Nuts, when you have Colt Emerson, Johnny Farmello, Ty Pete, I mean the whole team is just so fun. They got so many dudes there that I think are insanely talented.
Yes, 100%. OPS leader. How
Woo!
about this? AAA, a non-pro. Yeah, I'm going to be mean. I'm going to say non-prospect, but he has yet to make his major league debut. AAA with the Red Sox. Who is it?
AAA with the Red Sox yet to make his big league debut. Oh man,
Think about it.
triple AAA
Who
with the
who
Red
just
Sox.
mashes in the Red Sox system and does nothing else?
I was gonna say Blaze Jordan, bro, but like he's not in trips.
Nope.
Um, and I know he's not playing that well.
Funnier name.
Funnier name. Oh, I'm gonna be so pissed. If he hasn't debuted yet, that's like a curveball for me.
This guy in
I,
32
I can't
games.
tell you I've not watched any Worcester
Well, because
at all.
everybody's in Portland. But
Yeah, the
this
whole
guy
the whole
in
team is important.
32 games is slashing 319, 467, 702 with an 1169 OPS. He's got 9 doubles, 9 homers in 32 games.
Just ruined my day. Who is it?
Nico Cavadas.
Oh my God, he's in AAA. I
He's
forgot
in
about that.
AAA. Nico Cavadas is your minor
Wow.
league OPS leader.
I mean, he's kind of a prospect then if he's doing that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yep.
Wow.
Shout out Nico Cavadas, who
Wow.
should get up, should make his debut at some point soon.
Especially
Uh,
now. I mean, they need help.
for sure. Hits leader in minor league baseball. It's fun. I'm not going to have you guess it.
Oh, wait, wait,
Oh, do you
wait.
know?
Sorry. Did you see what Tristan Casas did today, by the way, while we're speaking about Red Sox first baseman?
I saw the tweet in his pit vipers and a hoodie up. He stood in the turtle and just looked at the pitcher's mound for
For
about what?
10 minutes. He's so weird.
He is.
He's so good, but man, I mean, he's king of the eyewash. I love it. Anyway, sorry,
Yeah.
continue.
but like whatever you got to do.
Whatever it works, he's disgusting. Like it's fine. Who am I to fault him? He's incredibly talented and plays really well. So if the eyewash makes him play well, go right ahead.
Do it. Hit leader in minor league baseball. I'm not going to have you guess it. Albert Almora Jr. with the Reno Aces has 52 hits. I love it. There are two guys that are tied atop the walk leaderboard. By the way, total bases, Kobe Mayo leads by 12. He's the only guy over 100 total bases at this point. Nobody else has over 90. He's ridiculous.
It's doubles. It's everything.
Everything. He also leads in extra base hits. He's got 25 extra base hits at this point. Walk leaderboard. One is Anthony Prado, who's in AAA for the Twins. You wouldn't get that. The other guy is in high A with the Mets.
Right. Well, now double A. Ryan Clifford.
Now double A. Ryan Clifford with the Mets has 32 walks. That leads
it's a 23.5% walk rate, which is absurd. I remember that 'cause I was looking at it when he got promoted. Yeah, it's a lot of walks.
It's a lot. Real quick, stolen bases. Who leads in stolen bases?
I mean, Chandler Simpson.
27 in 27 games.
And he's got a 95% in zone contact rate. I think he's got the lowest exit velocity in all of minor league baseball, or at least one of the bottom there. But he hits everything and he freaking flies for the Rays.
Absolutely insane. Chandler Simpson, 27 for 35. In the stolen base department, he's in high A Bowling Green. Okay, we'll wrap with the strikeout leaderboards for pitchers in minor league baseball. See how many you can get here. There's a three-way tie for 8th, but just start throwing names at me and I'll tell you where they are.
Okay, three-way tie for 8th, but we'll go. It's tough because how many guys are in AAA? That's just the only thing I need.
1, 2, 3, 4. 4
guys. Fair amount of AAA guys. Cade Povich.
Cade Povich is number 2. Baltimore.
Cade Povich is number 2. How many? You said 4 AAA guys?
4 AAA guys.
David Festa.
Festa is tied for 8th with 48.
Let's go. It's so satisfying to check off like each box.
Yeah.
Festa.
Povich's teammate, man.
Yeah, I'll say Chase McDermott.
McDermott tied for 6th, 49 punch-outs.
Then I'm just trying to nail all the AAA ones. There's one more AAA one.
This one's impossible. Kenny Rosenberg in Salt Lake. You weren't going to get
the Angels guy?
Yeah, Angels guy. You were not going to get Kenny Rosenberg.
He's like
number 1's in low A. Come on.
Number 1's in low A.
Come on.
Oh, Tugboat.
Matt
Wilkinson, baby.
Awesome. If you don't know about Tugboat, start watching Lynchburg Hillcats games whenever you can.
We have Jackson Jobe coming on the call-up this week. I'm really excited about it, but I am hell-bent on getting Matt Tugboat Wilkinson on the show one way or another.
You slid into his DMs. You were just like,
I never do that either. I never, ever, I'll usually do it a different way. Connect either. So I know him personally or a friend of a friend. I just shot my shot with Tugboat. Haven't heard back yet.
Easy.
He's changing the world right now, so I don't blame him.
He's amazing. Yilbert Diaz is
D-backs.
3rd. Yeah, D-backs. Yilbert Diaz is 3rd.
He struck out 21 over his last 2 outings. He's insane. Crazy fastball. Yariel, is Correa in there?
Yoniel Curette, no, he's not. Curette, whatever it is, he is not.
It's Correa.
Okay. Yoniel Curette.
So how many spots do I have left? Let me rip a couple more real quick.
Miguel Oyola with the Astros, AA with the Astros.
I have him circled for a dive because of the numbers. I need to go look at his stuff. I don't know anything.
Okay, real quick, other guys. Tied for 3rd with Diaz. Low A for the Cardinals.
Oh, Quinn Matthews.
What
is he still doing there?
I have no idea.
He's the guy that threw 156 pitches for Stanford, and it became the whole discourse. And then he was drafted because he was a pitchability guy and all that stuff. He's throwing 96 now from the left side with way better stuff than he's ever had. He's for real all of a sudden. I don't know why he's still in low A, though. I have no idea why they're doing that. He's just these poor hitters have no chance.
Yeah, no clue. All right, 2 more guys, and then we'll get out of here. High A for an NL East team. He's a former first-round pick. He could be
Owen Murphy.
Owen Murphy with Rome, Braves prospect.
I could do this all day. This is so fun for me.
And then you've got a yard goat. Come on.
Yeah. So Owen Murphy fastball is like it's like Christian Javier's
Yeah.
crazy ride from a low release. Slider's been really good, and he's just pounding the zone with those two. And then Carson Palmquist would be the last one. Lefty,
Bingo.
talk about funk. Rockies keep trying to draft these funky lefties. Palmquist is like, how many times has he punched out 10? Do you have a game log there? I think he's
I can
punched out
grab
10
one.
at least 3 times this year.
Carson Palmquist, real quick.
Doing it in double A. He was a closer for UM until they made him a starter his last year. Gets drafted in the middle rounds and has just been dynamite for the Rockies in double A. I think he's going to be in triple A soon. He could be in the big leagues this year.
Yeah, so Palmquist, 5 innings, 8 Ks, 5 innings, 7 Ks, 6 innings, 10 Ks, 6 innings, 7 Ks, 5 innings, 6 Ks, 5 innings, 10 Ks.
Okay, so 2 times, but a
Two
lot of times
times.
very close.
Yeah,
Funk master too, like weird delivery.
crazy, man. Crazy. All right, that's what we got for you. Fun little guessing game at the
I
end.
love that.
Again, dog bandanas available, whole bunch of merch elsewhere, and fun stuff on the call up. Jackson Job, again, coming on a little bit later this week. Go listen to our conversation with Kobe Mayo from last week, and go to justbaseball.com for everything you need. Peter and I talk to you tomorrow. See ya.